So we have it. Okay, so everybody, welcome to Prepare to Play Golf. We're going to have a great hour here. We're going to talk about the object of the game. We're going to talk about golf lingo. We're going to talk about what to wear, what to bring, and the etiquette, which is very important. I want to start out by saying that for you to be a course-ready golfer, it's not as important how well you play. You're not judged by your score, and in fact, many people are not going to be keeping score, but you're judged by how well you operate yourself on the golf course. Are you prepared? Are you wearing the right thing? Do you know the etiquette? Are you respecting the other players? So by the end of this hour, hopefully you'll get a very good overview of what you need to know before you go on a golf course, and you're going to be very popular and very prepared. So we're going to get started with a question. I'd like to ask you all if you could go to your chat feature. The question is, the 19th hole refers to A, a hole that requires a player to hit a shot over water, B, a tiebreaker hole played in a sudden death tournament, C, the clubhouse where people have drinks after the round, and D, an afternoon time period for golfers who are 19 and under to play golf. All right, well that was an easy one. That was C. It is the clubhouse after the round of golf. And we do the way Women on Course started was a lot of women began their game at the 19th hole. And that's a perfectly acceptable place to start. You meet people, you find out what everybody's like. It's not intimidating. And from there, we take you to the first hole. So we're gonna talk about the object of the game. Most of you know this, but the game is made up of a series of holes, and players gather in groups of 4, not 5. 5 is not allowed. You can be 4, 3, 2, or you can play by yourself. You go from hole to hole, and you count the number of strokes it takes you to get the ball from the tee box into the golf hole. Pretty simple. The person with the lowest score wins the game. Now, a standard golf course consists of 18 holes, and you'll hear that referred to as either a championship course or a standard golf course. And these golf courses are made up of, usually they have holes 1 through 9 is called the front 9, and holes 10 through 18 is called the back 9. Now, more and more courses are offering 9-hole rounds and charging. They have rates for 9-hole rounds, but in the old days, they only had one rate, and it was for the whole 18 holes, and that's how people were expected to play the game. And I will tell you that Women on Course, we are changing that, because most people don't have time. It can take anywhere from 4.5 to 6 hours to play a round of golf, and it's not good for the game. So the 9-hole round is very popular, and we've even started something called a clinic and 3 holes, where you can actually get a little bit of practice and you can play for an hour, so you can really golf in 90 minutes or less. And this is bringing more people into the game, and it's been a struggle, I have to tell you, convincing courses to create a price for this. But it's been working, and more people are in the game. So it's not a 5-hour sport. All right, the other thing you're going to find on a golf course is par. All right, so on a golf course, you're going to hear each hole is assigned a number, par, and that number can be either a 3, it can be a 4, or a 5. There are no par 2s, and there are no par 6s. Now, what par means exactly is it is the number of shots a professional golfer is expected to get the ball in the hole. So a golf course is designed this way. It's designed so that when you putt on the putting green, you're going to do 2 putts. Okay, 2 putts. So if you're in a par 4, you're going to hit the ball into the middle of the fairway, the middle of the course. That second shot is expected to get on the green, and you're going to 2-putt. So that's how par 4 is calculated. So on a par 3, you got it. You got to get that ball on the green in 1 shot. So you're going to 2-putt. And in a par 5, you actually have 1, 2, and you should be on the green in 3 shots. Now, the reason this is important, because later when I describe how you're going to play your own way, I want you to remember that you're going to be shooting par when you get out there, okay? So that's a regulation course. It's usually made up of maybe 3 or 4 par 3s, 3 or 4 par 5s, and the rest of the holes you're going to find them to be par 4s. So on a scorecard, which you see behind me, At the very end of the scorecard, it's going to tell you how long that entire combination of holes are. So from each tee box, there's a distance. So the shorter the course, the shorter it is to get the balls in the hole. So that's a regulation course, 18 holes made up of all these pars. You're going to hear the term executive golf course. Okay, an executive golf course is made up of mostly par 3s and 4s. And it got its name because executives didn't want to spend 5 hours out there. So this is a shorter course, and it takes a shorter amount of time to play. So if you're looking at golf courses, look for the term executive course. It's going to be shorter and easier to play. And then, of course, there are par 3 golf courses, which are made up entirely of par 3 holes. And that's going to be the shortest of all, and it typically takes about an hour and a half to play. Now, a lot of avid golfers will poo-poo a par 3 course and go, that's for beginners. Absolutely not, because each shot has to get on that green in the first stroke. So it helps avid golfers with accuracy, because a lot of people do fall apart when they get closer to the hole. You have to be more and more accurate. All right, so I don't know if there's any questions on how the game works and a little bit of terminology. We're going to move to the second part of the presentation, which is the golf lingo. I'm going to change my background there. So there's a lot of words in golf, tons and tons of words. And just like any culture, it's very important to understand some terminology so you get the most out of your golf lesson and the most out of the round. Now, I'm going to tell you a little story. I spend a lot of time teaching brand new golfers this live. And I tell women that when you're going to a golf course, you want to go in and practice first. So go in and buy a bucket of balls, go out to the range, hit the balls, and the instructor will come out and meet you. So I get a call from a woman who's like, Donna, I went out and did what you said. I bought the balls. I went out there. I hit them all out there, all 12 of them. How do I get the balls back? I'm like, oh no, what did you do? She goes, well, I bought these beautiful balls on the shelf. I go, no, that's not what I meant by buy a bucket of balls. You're actually renting golf balls. There are a different set of golf balls for the practice range, and they're actually made differently. They're not as well constructed. So she lost about $30 because she bought some balls. So I never take anything literally. I really understand and explain every single term because people will misinterpret. Another thing we tell people is when you get to the golf course, the first thing you do is go to the pro shop, make your payment, and meet your group on the first tee. And another woman, a lot of these golf courses are at resorts, and she went into the hotel and she asked at the front desk, where's the pro shop? And they said, it's in the back over there. So she started walking around, never found it, left, called me and said, I never found the pro shop. I didn't know where everybody was. I said, well, didn't you see it? It was right in the back on the left. And she goes, oh, the store, the gift shop? I didn't go in there. And apparently she saw all the clothes and all the knickknacks, and she didn't understand that is the pro shop, and that is where you pay for your round. So it's very important to know some of the lingo for beginners. And if you are working with beginners, make sure they understand what you're saying. All right, so here's a question for everybody. Get your chat ready. The starter refers to A, a mechanism that powers your golf cart, B, the person that you meet at the first tee, C, an energy drink made famous by Arnold Palmer, or D, a golfer playing her very first round. A, B, C, or D. Okay, we have a lot of smart people here. B is the correct answer. It's the mechanism. No, I'm sorry, it's not the mechanism on your golf cart. It's the person that meets you at the first tee. Now, this person is very important because they're going to tell you two important things. The first, they're going to talk about where the golf cart is allowed to go and where it's not allowed to go. Now, on a rainy day, a lot of times they'll close the course and the golf cart has to stay cart path only. So if you hear that term, it's going to be a longer round because you're going to have to walk out to your ball and walk back to your cart. Now, don't get surprised if you're there on a perfectly sunny day and they tell you it's cart path only. And here in Virginia, anybody here, it rained like cats and dogs last night. So it may close the course because the course could be wet and muddy, and it might be a day or two before they'll allow carts back on the course. So if you have a problem walking and you don't want to do a lot of exercise, call the course ahead and ask if it's cart path only. They're also going to tell you it might be a 90-degree rule. And what the heck is a 90-degree rule? Well, that means when you're driving on your cart path and you're going to turn onto the course, you're going to turn at a 90-degree angle. And you will notice that there is a stake in the ground. You must stay on the cart path until you hit that stake, and only then are you allowed to turn onto the golf course. And every day that stake is moved forwards and backwards, and it's so you don't run tires over and over the same part of the course. So they're going to tell you about the cart rules and where to drive the cart. The second thing they're going to tell you is the pin placement. Now, when I take groups out there and I let the starter just go in a roll, he's talking about 90-degree rule and pin placement. No one even knows what he's talking about. So what is pin placement? So in a golf course, there is the green, and that is the low grass where the hole is found. And the golf hole is marked by a pin, by a flag stick, okay? And believe it or not, every day or every other day, they change the hole position. It's moved around the green. And why do they do that? That's so if you're playing the same course every day, if you belong to a club, it makes the game different. And that green is divided into sections, a front, a middle, and a back. So if they put the pin in the front, it's going to be shorter distance-wise than if you put it in the middle or at the back. So they're numbered 1, 2, 3, or they're numbered ABC, lettered ABC. So each hole, there's a little map of where, let's say they say it's in the A position today. It might be in the front on hole 1, the middle on hole 2, the front on hole 3, and so on. Now, why is this important? Okay, there is a measurement. Golf is a game of numbers. There's a lot of numbers in golf, and we have a whole virtual event on that. But the golf course measures the tee box, that's where you start the hole, to the center of the green, the middle part, and you'll see a marker. So all markings on the golf course, on the tee box, with your GPS or your little rangefinder, all markings mark you to the center of the green, not where the flag is. So you have to account for the fact if it's 100 yards to the center of the green and you know the pin is in the back, it's usually a 10 or 12 yard difference. You know you need to add yardage to get to the hole. And this is important for players who are pretty good and they know how far their clubs go because you want to make the right club choice. So even though if you're starting out in golf and the distance, I don't know, I hit my 7-iron and I don't know how far it's going to go, it's okay. But when you're playing with other people, it's important to know this so you can be helpful to them. You know, you can find the marker and say, hey, we're 100 yards out, and it will help them choose their club. Okay, so that's what the starter tells you about. All right, let's talk about the marshal. This is another person you're going to meet on the golf course. And if you see the marshal, he or she is the person that drives backwards around the course. All right, what their main function is one thing. That is to keep you moving. Pace of play, you're going to hear about this later. The most important thing for every golfer to do is maintain a pace of play. I don't care if you're Tiger Woods or it's your first round. If you can keep a good pace of play, you are welcome on a golf course anywhere, anytime. That is the Women on Course, Donna Hoffman golden rule, pace of play. So if you see that marshal coming around and he tells you to kick that pace and keep moving, listen to him, okay? So that's what he or she is doing. And the other people you're going to see at a golf course is a PGA professional or an LPGA professional. And I want to clear up a misunderstanding about a PGA professional. That stands for Professional Golf Association. That is not a man, okay? A woman or a man can belong to the Professional Golf Association and be certified as an instructor. Okay, so PGA instructors can be men or women. The LPGA is called Ladies Professional Golf Association. And while we don't have discrimination in this country, I don't think I've ever seen a man certified by the LPGA, but I guess it's possible. All right, so you can run into golf pros that are both PGA certified or LPGA certified. And that means they've gone through rigorous testing to be able to teach the game. All right, let's ask the question here. Let's get your chat out. A bogey. A bogey refers to A, a score that is 1 over par, B, a score that is 1 under par, C, a cigar, or D, a ball that lands in the water, a bogey. Okay, again, we have a pretty good crowd here. A bogey is 1 over par. So if you're on a par 4 and you shoot a 5, that's a bogey. If you shoot a 6, double bogey, 7, triple bogey, okay? You might hear some people say, I'm a double bogey golfer. And what that means is they typically shoot 2 over par and they're just gonna pick up the ball. They're not gonna do anything 2 over par. Now, on the other hand, a birdie is 1 under par. So if you hear someone say they got a bird or birdie, you can applaud them, that's very good. An eagle means they are 2 under par. And obviously a hole-in-one is get in the hole the first try. That happens usually on a par 3. It's also called an ace. So those are some other common terms on scoring. All right, next question for everybody out there. What does the term short game refer to? A, a round of golf on a shorter par 3 golf course. B, another term for a 9-hole round. C, shots taken from 75 yards or closer to the hole. Or D, a golf format that is timed to take 2 hours. What is a short game? C is correct. Okay. Now the reason I want to talk about next, or the thing I'm going to talk about next, there are 3 types of shots in golf. And this is important when you take golf lessons, because you want to make sure you have lessons on all 3 types, because if you don't, you're never going to have a chance of playing the game. So the first shot is called a full swing. That's pretty easy. Everybody knows what that is. They've seen it on TV. It's when you take the club all the way back and swing all the way through. That's a full swing. And it's a full range of motion. And you can put all different clubs in your hand, and the ball will go different lengths depending on what club you use. You don't have to change your swing 1 iota. You just do a full swing and the clubs do all the work. That gets you down the golf course. All right, if you take your most lofted club, and I'm going to show you, this is a pitching wedge, and it's lofted. See how it's not upright like that, not a right angle. It's very lofted. So if I take a full swing with this club, it will go about 75 yards, okay? This is the most lofted club in my bag. The more the loft, the shorter it goes, okay? The less lofted, obviously it makes sense when you hit it, science, it's gonna go longer, flatter and longer. So when I use my most lofted club with a full swing and it goes 75 yards, what happens when I'm at the 50-yard marker? This full swing is not gonna work. All right, so that's when the term short game comes in. Short game is a series of different techniques and shots. You'll hear the term pitching, you'll hear chipping, okay? Those are different techniques. They're not a full range of motion, and they're different techniques, and those are things you wanna learn how to do. And then you're gonna hear putting, and putting is the last shot, and this is a putter, and this is the only club in your bag that has a right angle, which means when you swing, it's not going to leave the ground. So this is probably the easiest shot not to whiff, and a whiff means missing the ball completely, okay? So those are some terms. You want to make sure you take all of those shots, because you're going to need full swing to get down to the hole near the green. Then if you're not on the green, you're going to need to use these little chipping and pitching shots. And once you're on the green, you're going to putt. You're going to do your 2-putt. So just a few other terms that you may want to know for your golf lessons is your instructor may say, the goal is to hit it on the sweet spot. Now the sweet spot, again, on a club, there's a lot of places on a club you can hit the ball. The sweet spot is right in the middle, sweet. And when you hit it, for those of you that have hit a ball, you know you've hit it because it feels like butter. It doesn't even feel like you're hitting anything. There's no resistance. The ball just goes pop up in the air. All right, if you hit it here, you're hitting it on the toe. It's kind of like a foot. This is called the toe. This is called your heel. This place right here in the corner is called the hosel. Okay, you can hit it there. If you're topping the ball, that means you have a ball here and you're hitting the top of it. The sweet spot is right there. So if you hear yourself say you keep topping it, you're hitting it the top of the ball and it's going to plunk away. So that's topping the ball. If you hit it right, you are slicing it if you're a right-handed golfer. If you hit it left, you're hitting it, you're hooking it. And it's reversed if you're left-handed. Okay. All right, so parts of the club, they're going to tell you to ground the club. That means you're putting the club right onto the ground. Okay. This is called the club face. So if he tells you to move your club face, that's moving the face of the club. This is called the shaft. Okay. And this part is called the grip. And it's got a tacky substance on it so you can grip. He said your grip's too tight, grip's too light. Your grip, this is your grip. Okay. So that's some more lingo on the golf club. He might also tell you about your stance. Move up or back in your stance. And that is where you position, and this is hard to show, but where you position the golf club and how you stand. Are you putting it in the middle of your legs? Are you putting it forward in your stance? Or he might say put it back in your stance. So a stance is how you're addressing the ball. How you're addressing is in the middle, forward, because the hole's that way, or backwards. So there's a lot more terms. If you don't know what your golf instructor is saying to you, please stop him and ask him to explain. Don't just sit there and let everything go over your head. You're not going to get anything out of the lesson. And believe me, I've sat in lessons and watched people with clueless. They have no idea what the guy's saying. Even though he knows that, or she knows that they're all brand new golfers, they forget that you don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so there's a lot more terminology, but we're just going to touch on those. Any questions at this point? We'll have questions at the end too. All right, I'm going to talk next about the third thing, what to wear. Okay, this may seem obvious. It is not. I have to laugh because I see that everyone coming for their first lesson and they've got everything in their closet that they've just pulled out. Golf is a sport, first and foremost. So you want to make sure your clothes stretch and move and breathe. Okay, the first time I went to play golf, I pulled out a pair of khaki shorts that I figured everybody wears khaki shorts and a polo shirt. It was about 100 degrees out. I put my hand on my shirt and I had a wet imprint. I was drenched. I bent over to hit my ball and the back seam of my pants started to split. And I would show you this if we were in person, but most times in golf, your position is your rear is showing to your golf partner. So that's not a pretty sight. I had to tie a jacket around my waist for the rest of the game. And I was just a wet rag. So everything I wear, this is actually a golf shirt. It stretches. I wear golf clothes almost exclusively around the house all summer because they breathe. They don't show perspiration. They're comfortable. They're very well made. They're a little more expensive, but the reason is you can throw it in the washer and the dryer and they never look bad if you're buying good clothes. So you want to make sure you're wearing athletic wear that's built for golf. So there is a dress code. And this is the fun part if you like to shop. The dress code varies from club to club. You can be at a driving range or Top Golf and you can be in a tank top, flip-flops, bare feet. Nobody's going to look at you. You go to a nice private club, it could be a very expensive trip to the pro shop. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but that halter top, even though it's Ralph Lauren, is not acceptable. You can't wear that here. So here is some guidelines on a typical dress code. Let's start at the top. If you have sleeves, like I do, you don't need a collar. You can be like Amber's wearing, I see her and some other people. You don't need a collar if you have sleeves. If you have sleeveless, you must have a collar. And Tiger Woods has kind of changed the whole definition of what a collar is with the mock necks. Some women designers are pretty fancy. They'll stitch a little collar on the shirt without really having a collar. And the reason they have collars is because in the old days, the men would put their collars up in the back so they wouldn't get their necks burnt. Or you can zip up your shirt this doesn't zip all the way, but if it's cold, it becomes like a turtleneck and keeps you warm. So with women's design, I think it's really like a bouncer at a nightclub. They have the excuse to kick you out if you're not dressed appropriately. So make sure your tops are long enough, okay? Because you're gonna take a swing, and when you take a swing, that top is gonna rise. So it may look great with your arms down, but take a practice swing at home, because this is what you're gonna look like with your shirt riding half up your belly. Also, you wanna make sure you have enough room in the chest area so you're not popping buttons and spilling out of your shirt. I've seen that. You pop a button, you're out on a golf course, there's no sewing kit, so you're stuck with a busted shirt. So make sure your clothes fit and the armholes are big enough so you have room to swing. You're not constricted. So take some swings. All right, on the bottom. All right, there's a lot of discussion about the length of your skirt or shorts. I've seen young women come with very, very short tennis skirts. Nobody says a thing. Other courses, they're complaining. So the rule of thumb, and I'm not going to give you an inseam length because everyone's different heights, you know, use your judgment. I'd say three, even maybe 4 inches above your knee is acceptable. Now you can go shorter than that, but it's a crapshoot. They may tell you it's too short. But if you want to look professional, you want to look like a real golfer pro, you know, keep the length, you know, in check. And when you get to pants, you know, again, there's any length, capris, Bermuda shorts, skirts. Skirts are skirts that have little underpants attached to it or shorts attached under it, because you are bending over. So don't wear a skirt without a little under short, because people will see underneath. When you get to pants, don't get them all the way to the ground, okay? Because if you have to go hunting for your golf ball in the tall grass or the wet grass or the weeds, you're gonna have the bottom of your pants are gonna be completely ruined. So you'll see a lot of ankle pants in golf because you want them a little shorter. All right, and as far as pockets, you want to make sure you have pockets, because you're going to put things in your pockets. You're going to put golf tees in your pockets. You need a certain number of these. You might put a golf ball. You might put a marker in your pocket. You might put a scorecard. So make sure you have pockets. Here's what's not allowed. Yoga pants, jeans, or anything made out of denim is not allowed, typically. Some courses do not allow cargo pants or cargo shorts. They think it looks sloppy, so no cargos. On your top, no tank tops, no halters, as I learned when I wore a beautiful halter top. And no graphic t-shirts, even though you don't need a collar, but if you wear a t-shirt that's got sayings or bar names on it, a lot of courses may say that's not appropriate. So it's up to the golf course to tell you it's appropriate or not. Okay, shoes. Let's get down to shoes, because a lot of women ask me, do I need golf shoes? And the answer is no, you don't need golf shoes. Okay, you can wear sneakers, you can wear any kind of shoes you want, but your shoes, you want to be able to have some traction and stability so that when you're swinging, you're not slipping all over, especially if the grass is a little slick or wet or you're in sand. So they do make a lot of golf shoes that have traction on the bottom. A lot of times I'll wear sneakers if I'm traveling. I don't feel like packing extra shoes. They're acceptable. They do make golf sandals, you know, if you want to do that. Although I will tell you, if you're going into the sand traps or you're going into grass, you may not want to wear sandals. Okay, so just to summarize the apparel, look great, because that might be the only thing about your game that looks great. So look great because you get to. All right. Any questions there? All right, let's talk about what to bring to the golf course. Okay, so what to bring. Your golf bag is like your briefcase or your purse. Make sure you have everything in that golf bag before you get to the golf course. Again, you're going to spend a lot of money if you don't prepare. So the first thing you need is golf clubs. Okay, do not assume that you can rent them. This is not a bowling alley. People help me give the bowling alley where there's going to be lots of golf bags just waiting for you to come and rent them. Most clubs have maybe one set of women's golf clubs. That's it. So if you're going with a girlfriend, you're out of luck. Every golfer is expected to have their own set of clubs. Don't come expecting to borrow. A lot of people do allow us at Women on Course events to share clubs because we're coming in as an event, but they expect you to have your own set of clubs. Do you need to buy clubs? No. Rent until you're ready. Do not go out and buy clubs at the beginning. Rent until you're ready. So call ahead, make sure there's a set, and rent it. Now, when you're taking golf lessons, golf pros should have golf clubs available for you to use and borrow. All of our golf clinics, we make sure that the pros have clubs available. They may give you an old men's club from way back when that they found on the golf course, but they will have clubs for you to use. So don't buy golf clubs just because you're taking lessons. Once you get a swing going and you know you like the game and you want to play the game, that's the time to invest in clubs. Now, what about borrowing? So when I first started playing golf, my neighbor goes, hey, I have a set in my garage. It was my grandmother's. You can borrow it. I go, sure, great. So I started using this set of clubs. I did not realize that she was 5 feet. I'm 5'9". So I am developing a swing around this 5-foot woman's clubs, and I'm hunched over and I'm trying to make the clubs work. That was a disaster. And no wonder I kind of quit, because it's like I can't get the ball in the air. So make sure when you are borrowing or if you buy secondhand clubs, they're designed for your skill set and they're designed for your height. Okay, and there are club fittings where they'll go and fit you for clubs, but a standard set, if you're 5'3" to 5'8", that's a standard length. Okay, and I could go more into the equipment, but that's about my philosophy on buying or not buying. All right, let me ask everybody a question. All right, the maximum number of clubs that you are allowed to have in your bag, and this is when you're playing in a tournament, the maximum number of clubs is A, 9, B, 14, C, 18, or D, unlimited. Some of you may have been on these calls before. So the answer is B. 14 is the maximum amount of clubs you're allowed to carry in your bag if you're playing in a tournament. And again, it keeps the bag weight down, but you don't need to have 14 clubs to play golf. In fact, most women do not use all those clubs. You can play with as little as 3 clubs. Everybody needs, as we talked about, everybody needs a putter. You gotta have a putter. It's the only club you can use on the green. You can't use any other club. Not allowed. Okay, putter. You might have a driver. All right, a driver, this is the club in your bag that goes the furthest. So when you get to the tee box and you start a hole, you start playing on a hole, you must use a tee for this club to work. This club does not work without a golf tee. And what you're gonna do, and I ask people to practice this, is you put the ball on the tee and the club is gonna hit it where half is being hit and half you can see over the back of the club. So it's gonna hit right there. You can see that. That's the sweet spot. I'm doing this a little backwards. Okay, now do you have to use a driver on the tee box? No, you don't. This is the longest club in your bag. It's very long. Whoops. So it's a very long club, and sometimes it's unwieldy. So if an instructor gives you a driver and says, let's start your very first full swing lesson, this is not a good instructor. This is the hardest. It's the hard, because you're starting at the ball, you're going all the way back, and you got to get that club face right back to where you put the ball. So a lot of instructors will start you with what's called an iron. Okay, so this is an iron. I showed you this before. An iron is made out of iron, and they're lofted. The more lofted the club, the more lofted, and I have a little picture here for you. Okay, the more lofted, the easier it is to hit. The easier it is to get, and the shorter the club, the more the shorter. So again, if you start here, you're taking it back, it's not a very long distance. So most instructors will start you with an iron, and the irons are numbered. Well, this has got a P on it, but irons are numbered, I would say 2 to 9. The highest number it goes is 9. So a 2 or 3 is almost like a putt. It's almost straight on. So most women's bags start with a 5, a little bit aloft, 6, 7, 8, 9. And after 9, you go into numbers and you go into what's called the wedges. They're still irons, but they're really lofted. Sand wedge, pitching wedge, approach wedge. And sometimes they're named by degrees, the degree of loft. So very complicated. But in your bag, the more lofted clubs are going to help you get the ball in the air. So you have irons, and then you have woods. And woods look like the driver. The driver is a wood. And then there's a 3 wood, and there might be a 5 wood, and these are smaller, but you can see they have a lot of bulk behind them. And they used to be made out of wood. Now they're made out of graphite. And these shafts are made out of graphite. Graphite is a light material. It's flexible. Okay. If I were to give you a club, a 7-iron, let's say, here's a 7-iron, and it's made out of graphite shaft, you'll probably have a good chance of getting in the air. If I give you a 7 made out of steel, which is heavier and inflexible, you're gonna have a harder time getting it in the air. So I have clubs of steel and graphite, and you have to hit that ball right on the sweet spot on a steel shafted club to get it to go, and that's what the pros use. You have to be, so the reason being, I'm not a technical person, but I just know it's not flexible, it's heavier, it's harder to swing. So for women, if you're starting out and you're not as strong, a flexible shaft, a graphite club is going to be easier for you to hit. So make sure that you're not, again, borrowing with a steel shaft. If you can't get in the air, that could be why. Okay. And also the club face is like tennis. There are oversized club faces, like in tennis, make it easier. There's a bigger sweet spot. So your equipment is very, very important. I can't stress how important it is, because I started playing with this old, not fit for me, and I could not get the ball in the air. I was horrible. This is terrible. I can't do this. Put the right club in my hand, boom, watch it go. So I think that's a big mistake people do, is they don't have the right equipment. And every year the technology changes. So I've changed my clubs every 3 years. I get better and better every year. I'm not doing anything different, but the clubs are much better. And same with the balls. So let's talk a little bit about golf balls. How many do you need? Bring at least a dozen when you play around a golf, because you're going to lose the balls. I have women, Donna, I lost the ball. What do I do now? Like, out of luck, you got to borrow. So you want to bring a good number of balls, pack your bag with at least a dozen golf balls. And if you're in the water, you're in the woods, and you lose a lot of balls, don't buy expensive ones. Okay, just buy cheap reused balls, and you can pull out your good balls when you've got grass in front of you. But if you think you're going to go in the water, pull out the less expensive balls, because some of these balls can cost $4 a piece. They're not cheap. Okay, tees. You need a number of tees. Tees are meant to be broken. These are wooden tees. Now they do make tees now that are plastic, and they don't break. And this one has a big, I don't know if you can see it, has a big cup to hold the ball in there, and they come in different lengths. See how there's different lengths? So different clubs use different tee lengths. So with that driver, you need a big one. Now, tees are only used on the tee box. You're not allowed to use tees on the fairway or in any other part of the golf course. You can only use it when you tee off. So the most you're going to use a tee is 18 times if you play 18 holes. Okay, now when you're starting out, when you're a beginner, if you want to use a tee on the fairway and you're not playing in a tournament, go ahead and do it. You know, put it on a little short tee. It'll help you get the ball in the air better. Okay, so there's real rules of golf, and then there's play your own way. And we're going to talk about that later. All right, so you've got your tees, you've got your golf balls, you've got your clubs, you've got your ball marker. This is a ball marker necklace. It actually comes off and it marks my ball. And it's right here, it's a magnet. You're going to use this on the putting surface. You're going to mark your golf ball there. And we're going to get into what that means later, but you need a ball marker. And then you need things for your creature comforts. So if you have bangs like I do, you might want to bring a clip to hold your hair back, because the game is like this. You want to be comfortable. There's so much going on. You don't want to be worried about bugs eating you. Bring bug spray, bring sunscreen, have a hat. I've even seen, feminine products. Sometimes you're out in the middle of the golf course and something may surprise you, and it's not in your golf bag, and you're playing with guys and you got to go back to the clubhouse. So you might want to pack that in your bag. Jewelry, very important. I have a ring that I wear. It's an antique ring, and I cannot hit a golf ball when I'm wearing this ring. And if I forget to take it off at home, I usually take it off at home, Well, if I'm at the golf course and I take it off, where am I going to put it now? I don't want to put it in my pocket, it might fall out. Car keys, diamond earrings, necklaces. So make sure your golf bag has a zippered pouch and put your valuables there. We have had so many lost jewelry, car keys. I can't tell you how many times women lose things out on the golf course. It's really tough to go find it. So your pockets are not reliable because you're going to be sitting, standing, moving. So zip it up or leave it at home and wear costume jewelry out there, bling costume jewelry. Okay, let me see where we are now. Any questions on what to bring? There's different types of golf bags actually. And now with COVID, there are cart bags. Those are bigger, heavier bags that are designed to ride on your cart. There are carry bags that are designed to carry, and when you put them on the ground, two little legs pop out. It's called a stand bag, so it stands up. And then there's Sunday bags, and those are bags that hold 3 or 4 clubs or 4 or 5 clubs, and they're very light. So with a lot of people walking now, because the carts, you can one person per cart, a lot of women are scrambling to find lighter golf bags. And then some of the golf courses allow you to have push carts or pull carts. That's something you load your bag on and you can walk it around. And just as sort of a rule of thumb, on a par 3 hole, those are typically all cart path only. Most courses will not allow a golf cart on a par 3. It's a very short course. So if you're playing a par 3 golf course, it's probably walking only. So those little push and pull carts can be rented. So again, if you have trouble walking or it's a hot day or you have a health issue, you want to make sure you understand the cart situation. Am I walking? Am I riding? That sort of thing. Okay, we have about 15 minutes left and we're going to get to probably the most important part, which is the golf etiquette. Okay, so I'm breaking this down into 3 parts. Respecting the other golfers and respecting the golf course. All right, so let's start with one of the most important things is time. Be on time. All right, you don't want to be late. If you are in a professional tournament and you miss your tee time by a minute, you are disqualified. So if it is a 3 o'clock tee time, you want to be paid. You want to have paid in the pro shop. You want to have your golf bag on your cart, and you want to be waiting at that first tee at least 5 minutes before your tee time, because that's when the starter will meet you and explain all the different rules. Do not throw away your receipt when you pay. Sometimes they will ask to see your receipt to make sure you paid for the round. Okay, at a private club, they have radios and they may say, all right, the Hoffman party's coming, so they know I've paid. But this is so you don't run from your parking lot right into start playing golf and you don't pay the $100 fee or $50 fee. All right, so you want to be on time, allow a lot of time. And if it's your first time in a tournament or you're playing with people, get there really early. Warm up, get familiar, get your supplies, make sure you have everything you need. All right, second golden rule, know when to be quiet. There's nothing more annoying than someone speaking while another player is taking their golf shot. Okay, and it's I see experienced players do it. It's just really annoying. And you get used to, as a golfer, the minute you start your pre-shot routine, I'm talking to all my friends, I'm taking my turn. The minute I start marching up to my ball, that's when my pre-shot routine begins. I'm maybe aiming, I'm doing my little practice swings, whatever I'm doing, which maybe only takes 10 seconds. That's when everyone should be quiet. And I'm so used to that when you hear anything, it breaks your concentration. Now, a lot of professional players and a lot of good players can chit-chat the whole way through and it doesn't bother them. I'm now at the point where everybody can be talking and it doesn't bother me. But in the beginning, I really needed quiet because I was thinking. So be very respectful. Also, if you're not on that tee with those people, you're sitting in the cart, you're rattling around your clubs, and they can hear you. Okay, so be mindful that people can hear you. Even another group, if you're driving to your next hole and you're talking and you see some other group putting, you want to be quiet around other golfers. So just be very mindful. And it's going to be very apparent who the impolite people are and who the polite people are very quickly. You're going to learn a lot about people, how they follow this etiquette, and people are going to learn about you. So again, if your swing is not strong, you're not a great player, you are going to show people how great you are by all these etiquette things that you know and follow. The third thing is where to stand. Okay, I can't really show you this because we're not on a golf course, but you want to stand in the right place. So as a rule of thumb, you want to be out of the peripheral vision of the golfer. So if you can see the front of that golfer or the back of the golfer, you're standing in the right place. So if I'm taking a swing this way, you don't want to stand behind me, and by God means, do not stand in front of a golfer. There is an invisible line between the golfer and the hole. Do not even stand a foot forward, because if that ball hits the toe or the heel, you're going to get clocked in the side of the head. So stand behind the golfer, looking at the front of that person or the back of the person. Okay. All right, I have a little visual here I'm going to show you. We're going to share my screen now. Let's find here. Share the screen. Here we go. Okay. Do you all see this website page here? Let me get my virtual, see the website? Okay, good. All right, this is the Women on Course webpage. So you don't have to take notes on this. If you go to our page and you hit the event tab, you're going to see our calendar. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, are you golf course ready? So the first thing is, are you a popular player? This one. Okay. So this is here. So here are some more tips that I've made up on how to be a popular player. I don't know if you can read this or not, but the first thing is what I've invented. It's called the 30-second rule. So these activities, you want to keep them to 30 seconds or less. One is your pre-shot routine. Remember I talked about that's when you're getting ready to hit the ball? Do not take more than 30 seconds, please. Do not sit there and swing and practice and get your clubs. Make sure that that pre-shot routine, you get up there, you take a couple seconds and boom, hit the ball. So when you get up there and hit that tee shot, make sure you're not spending a minute or two teeing up the ball. A lot of people are so nervous they can't get the ball in the air. They can't get the ball in the tee. They're like, ah. So practice that so you can do it in 5 seconds. All right, lost balls. This is the bane of my existence. Ties up all kinds of time. My ball's lost. I can't find it. Everybody's searching and hunting. 30 seconds. If you don't find the ball, move on. All right, I'm going to tell you that the USGA, they're the governing body of golf. They have rules, and you are allowed 3 minutes to look for your lost ball by the rules of golf. But if you took 3 minutes to look for a lost ball, you're chewing up 3 minutes of your turn. And to give you some perspective, your group of 4 players should only be on that hole for 14 minutes. 14 or 15 minutes tops. Okay, so let's use an example that, let's say you have 16 minutes. Divided by 4, that means each player has 4 minutes for their turn. So if you spend 3 minutes looking for a lost ball, you've just used up all your time. So keep that in mind. You have 4 minutes. Walking off the green, that's another area where people, after the ball goes in the hole, they decide that's when they're going to talk about where they're going to have lunch or where they get the cute shoes. Walk off the green because there are people constantly behind you. Okay, so just be mindful of these activities. All right, play ready golf. Ready golf is a term you're going to hear in golf. I didn't explain this, but who goes first, who goes second, who goes third? Typically, the person furthest from the hole goes next. Okay, so if you're playing with 3 great players and they hit it really far and you don't, it's your turn, it's your turn. It's going to be your turn until you catch up to them. All right, so ready golf means if you're ready, you go. And usually a group will decide, we're going to play ready golf, or on a hole, they're going to say, I'm over on the left and you're on the right. Let's just play ready golf. Let's just both, who's ever ready, go, just to keep the things moving. So ready golf means also have all your equipment handy. Make sure you've got a ball marker. Make sure you have don't walk up to the tee box. Oh, I forgot my tee and I got to walk all the way back. That's where those pockets come in handy. Have everything with you. Make your club selection while you're waiting for your turn. I see so many golfers, Donna, it's your turn. And I'm like, I've got my club ready. I'm standing near my ball. I'm ready to go. People are like, oh, my turn. Okay. Now, should I use a 5-iron? They don't even know what club they're going to use. Tick, tick, tick. There's all this time. Start your turn before your turn. Make sure you are ready and walk quickly to your ball. And I put a note, you're going to burn calories too. So this is, the next rule is one and done. This is down in this corner here, one and done. One swing equals your turn, no matter where the ball goes, okay? Save the analysis for why you missed it, why you topped it, why you sliced it, for the practice range, okay? This is a vicious cycle, especially for beginning golfers. You take a swing and you completely miss. What do? You swing again and you miss again. No, 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 no. In real golf, every swing counts. So you take your swing. If you miss, you just walk off as if you hit a hole in one. You do not stand over it and swing, 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 unless you're keeping score. And you have no business keeping score if you're whiffing. You're not there yet. All right. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to make a big fuss. You go, Donna, it's your turn, and you get off there, get the attention off you, get yourself collected. And this is a big, big frustration saver. You don't need to sit there and keep swinging. Now, if your foursome out there goes, oh, do it again, do it again. No, thank you. Don't get caught in that cycle. And if you're a golfer, don't encourage the person who missed to do it again. This is not a practice range. Okay, got that? One and done. Know when you've had enough fun. All right, if you're frustrated, you're holding up play, there's always another hole, including the 19th. So just pick up your ball and say, I've had enough fun on this hole, and stick with your players, rake the bunkers for them, you know, go with them, find the yardage, cheer them on. You don't have to hit every single shot from every single place. All right, that leads me to my next thing. There are 3 ways to play golf. 3 ways. The typical way everybody knows is you play your own ball and you keep score according to the rules of golf. If you're a beginning golfer, you're not there yet. You may never play that way, ever. So this is one way to play golf, not the only way, okay? Team scramble. This is a very popular format for groups, charity outings. This is where a group of 4 people write down one score for the hole. So the way it's played is every player takes a shot. As a team, you say, we like Donna's ball the best. We're going to take our second shot from that spot. And the other 3 players pick up their ball and they all take their next shot from that spot. And when you take your next shot, you place your ball 1 club length from the ball. Someone usually takes a tee and they put it in the ground, and you can drop your ball anywhere you want, 1 club length away from that spot, no closer to the hole. And when you get to the putting surface, you're 1 putter head away. Now, if you're playing with a bunch of friends or you're playing at Women on Course, you could say, let's play a scramble. And people do that as a group. Very fun way to play, no pressure. And by the way, if you are playing a scramble and you're the weakest player, go first. The reason I say that is because if all the better players go before you and their ball goes in the water, goes in the woods, now it's up to you. There's too much pressure. So I always go first. Or if the 3 players, let's say 2 players go and they have great shots and I know there's no way I'm going to hit it that far, I might skip because I don't want to get up there. But, you know, you're paying your money, you're out there, you might as well get the shots and practice while you're out there if you're not holding people up. All right, this is my favorite, play your own way. I invented this. Basically, when you get out there, this is how we define our course-ready golfers. You do not keep score. Take the scorecard and throw it away. All right? So what you do is you're going to hit your ball off the tee box, but you're going to make up your own rules. Okay? Certain rules could be, I can't hit the ball very far. So you know what, players? And you say this at the first hole. I'm going to start my game at the 100-yard marker for the entire round. I'm not going to hit it back where you guys are. I'm going to start my game at the 100-yard marker because I can't hit it far. So you're going to do that. You may say, I'm going to use a tee. When I'm in the fairway, if you see me use a tee to put my ball up on a tee, I'm doing that. I know that's not allowed by the rules of golf, but I'm going to do it because it's easier for me to get the ball in the air and it's going to be more fun for me. So you can do that. Oh, and by the way, if my ball lands in the sand or the grass, the deep grass or somewhere, I'm going to move my ball. So if you see me moving my ball around the course, I'm not cheating. I'm just making the pace of play go faster. Now, one thing I did, I started playing golf with 3 really good golfers, and boy, did they hit it a mile. And I was stuck in this vicious cycle of my turn, my turn, my turn. So I made up my own rule. Wherever the 3 balls went, if I was behind, I'd move my ball ahead of the 3 players. Number one, I got a break. I could rest for a while, but it just kept me moving down the golf course. So you can do whatever you want as long as you're respecting the other players. All right, and the last thing, I'm gonna just stop the screen share here. I have this thing called score 5 on every hole. This is a great way to play golf. So here's how you do it. You tell people, I'm not gonna follow the rules. I'm gonna do my own thing, but don't worry, I'm not gonna hold you up. So here's what you do. You go to the tee box and you hit your tee shot. All right, let's say we're on a par 4. You hit the tee shot. Your goal is to get it somewhere in the fairway so that next shot will land on the green, right? Remember I told you had to get on the green in 2? So let's say you didn't land in a good spot. Take the ball after you hit it and move it to the 75-yard marker. Move it somewhere where you have a shot at getting that on the green. Okay? Now that next shot, if you don't get on the green, pick it up and put it somewhere just outside the green so you can do a chip shot. Okay? Because now we're getting a drive, we're getting practice doing a drive, we're getting practice hitting off the fairway, and now we're gonna get practice hitting a shot within 20, 30 yards. We're gonna practice a chip. And hopefully that chip shot will get on the green, but if it doesn't, put it on the green, and you're gonna 2-putt. So each hole, you're gonna score 5, right? Drive, fairway shot, chip, and 2 putts. What this does, it allows you to use every shot you've practiced and learned, because the other way, the more common way is people say, why don't you just pick up after you've hit 6 or 7 shots? Just pick up. Well, you're carrying the long, you might not even get even close. So you're just never getting any use. So I like the score 5 on every hole because you're practicing different clubs, different techniques on a real golf course. Okay, I think I've answered most of things here. I had a little question for you. I think that's it. I don't want to overwhelm you. There's a lot going, but let's talk a little bit about etiquette. There is golf course etiquette with regards to respecting the golf course. And what I say by that is drive your cart in the correct places. If you hit a big divot, which is the grass comes up with your swing, you want to replace that grass back on the spot that's bald, tap it down. Golf courses have grass seed on them. You want to put the little grass seed on there. When you're on the putting surface, that's a very important part of golf. And I didn't talk about this, but etiquette. There is an invisible line between your ball and the hole. And every ball in the hole, there's an invisible line. No, never walk on that line. Okay, that's one sure way to expose yourself as someone who's not prepared and ready. If you see people walking on that line, they have no business being on a golf course. Okay, so the reason being is the grass gets deflated and it takes a couple minutes for the grass to pop back up. It's the whole big thing. And marking the ball, I said I would talk to you about marking the ball. In golf, there's very few instances where you're allowed to pick the ball up following the rules of golf. So if 2 balls land side by side, you can't just pick them and go, hey, this is yours. Okay, that's a beginner no-no. That's why people mark their ball, they write on the ball, they use different balls. But when you're on the putting surface, you are allowed to pick the ball up. It's one of the areas when you can. But the way you do it is you would put a marker behind the ball. So there's a line between the ball and the hole. You stand behind the ball and you put the marker directly behind the ball, and then you pick it up. Okay, and why people do this? Couple reasons. They get all the dirt off the ball. They might replace it. These are Volvic balls, and I love them. I don't know if you can see them, but there's a line on there. Okay, so I usually put my ball back so the line is all lined up with the hole, where I want to hit it. My putter has a line on it. I'm giving you a great putting tip right now. I don't want to hit my computer, but my putter has a line on it. So I just line up all the lines. And if I go back and through straight, it'll go in the hole or get very close to the hole. So that's another reason, mark their ball. A third reason is if you see everybody marking their ball, mark your ball, because a lot of golfers want to be Tiger Woods. They don't want to see all these balls. They want to be Zen. No, 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 no. They don't want to see all this stuff. So if everybody's marking their ball, just even if you don't care, you don't need to mark your ball. Just mark it so they're not looking at your nice shiny orange ball sitting there. It's kind of good etiquette. All right, that's a lot of information. So we're at 1 o'clock. I could go on and on for another 2 hours, but we have other virtual events that talk about the rules, the top 10 rules everybody needs to know. I'll be repeating that. We have most unusual rules. Someone had suggested, I think Susie, you're on this call about golf clubs, how to buy golf clubs and get fitted for clubs and how to take care of your clubs. So we'll have more topics. If you have suggestions, let me know. But I want to open up if there's any questions. You could take yourself off mute and ask a question about what we talked about. A lot of dazed and confused faces. It's a lot of information. Sometimes I recommend you want to play golf several times with a mentor when you go out there. But I want to conclude with one thought. How good do you need to be a course-ready golfer and go out there? So again, if you are wearing the right thing, you're not borrowing, you have all the equipment you need, you know the etiquette and pace of play, okay? You don't draw negative attention to yourself. You don't say, I'm sorry. You don't say, I'm a horrible golfer. You don't complain about things. You will be invited back every single time. Just tell people, I'm a new golfer. I'm a learning golfer. I know the etiquette. I'm not going to hold you up. You don't have to worry about me. You don't need to give me any advice because advice has no place on a golf course because it is fast. You got to move. And if someone tries to give you advice, say, that's great. Let's wait till we get to the practice range afterwards. And on the converse side, don't ask for advice. Don't ask everyone else questions. They're not there to take care of you. You don't want to be a needy golfer. What club should I use? What should I do? Why did I hit it right? Why did I hit it left? They're not there to help you. They're there to play their own game. Okay, so when you get out there, it's scary the first time. We're going to start having mentors next year. So we will pair you up with mentors. We also have formats that are with golf pros out there, play with the pro. And we want to help women transition so you're a prepared, course ready. Really, we want to be proud of you out there that you're not giving women a bad rap. Men are the ones that take too much time out there. A lot of times the better golfers take more time, but they're only hitting the ball 3 and 4 times per hole. You may be hitting it 6 or 7 times. So it seems like they're taking less time or more time. Okay, any questions? I'm sorry, I checked. No? Okay.
I have one.
Oh, yes.
I want to know, what's a good beginning golf ball?
Beginning golf ball. Well, golf balls are made out of, they're called 2-piece, 3-piece, and 4-piece, and it's how many layers are inside. So I would look for balls that are maybe 2-piece, softer feel. Don't spend a lot of money on golf balls. We work with Volvic a lot. They're a great brand. They have different types of golf balls, but ask your golf shop. Price. Now some balls feel like clunkers. They feel like a rock, right? And that doesn't work either, but a good quality, just say I'm a learning golfer. What's the best ball for me?
Thank you.
Sometimes I'll tell people just grab a bunch of range balls and put them in your bag, because if you lose them, who cares? Any other questions? Okay. All right, well, everybody enjoy your weekend, and you can find those 2 cards on the website. And if you have any comments, just be sure to email me, and happy golfing. Okay. Bye, everybody.